Hello, you magnificent people. We are excited to have you back and joining us again in today's discussion because it's a very special topic. We're here to talk about discovering your talent, your true passion, or the true gift. For some, you will have already felt it deep within your instincts and have discovered your passion and can totally submerge yourself within your talent. But for some others, you have yet to recognize your, in quotation, calling. So listen and tune in very closely as we reveal this never told before passage to discovering your true self and the talent that exists within.
So about sculpting the shape of the sound, you sculpt it to the size that feels right, and then you work on adding some texture or some emotion, and the two things together, they make up the power of vocal performance. Actually, this works like two of the 7 key qualities required for realizing the spiritual awakening in Buddhism. It's in the Buddha's teaching called Bodhipakkhiyadhamma. And the two that I'm specifically talking about are the mental formation of spiritual force, in C, which is associated with the size, figuratively speaking, and the mental formation of spiritual strength, pala, which is associated with the intensity. You know, you might even be able to quantify it like you would with the equation for the power of electricity, where P equals V times I, like P for power, V for the voltage, electric force, multiplied by I for the electric charge or strength. If we reinterpret it, V for vocal shapes and size, multiplied by I for the vocal texture or emotion, and you get the vocal power.
That's so cool. And that's where a singer now becomes a musician, and they are able to transcend, the audience can gravitate to that power.
That's how you feel, the shape of their singing.
Feel the emotion in their voices.
This is a great advice for singers that have yet to take their singing ambition to the next level. You're seeing this as a shape and as a structure, as a texture, it's not just noise. It's becoming a vision.
You know what? There are some musicians who are deaf, right? But they can play music and express music. Actually, I think maybe Beethoven was deaf.
That's like one person in centuries.
Yeah, he's important enough.
Can that be real? Can that really be real? It's hard to. How can you be deaf but so genius? Like it's.
Well, you can feel the vibration, right? Like, I mean, any music or note, it's about vibration, right? And it's a known history that Beethoven did have like difficulty with his hearing. Yeah.
Wow. You can feel the notes.
He started developing that hearing difficulty in his earlier years, but by the time he's in his 40 or something like that, he was just totally deaf, right? And then he actually had to communicate in written notes, because he just can't hear. You actually have to write notes and then communicating with him. And I'm actually reading off Google.
Oh God, Beethoven.
No, but I heard before that he's deaf. But with the age and stuff like that, I had to Google it up. I had to ask sad Google. when did Beethoven become deaf? You just need to have that one guy who is a master of music. You don't need too many people. You just have one important guy who's deaf, and that's good enough.
to show that everything is possible. But I gather like he had already was studying music before going deaf and is familiar, I guess, with the notes and the sound that before going deaf. Is that possible?
I don't know. I guess he must have learned piano or something. Assuming that's the path that a lot of musicians today go through. Their first take piano lesson, like their parents sent them to piano lessons.
Was he born deaf, or he just like start to?
No, he could hear in his younger years. It's not until he's in his 20s that he start developing like hearing difficulties.
Okay.
Yeah, but then in the 40s, that's when he had gone deaf completely.
I'm curious if these musical academy, these musical schools, that they actually would teach their students to feel the music and then just kind of put the texture, put the shape into the music and kind of feel the way in the music, as opposed to listen to the music.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can feel that resonance, right?
Absolutely.
You can feel the wave, and the sound that we get, or the sound that we can hear, is just something for the ears. But when you actually feel certain feelings that you get from a song, it's not so much just the song itself, but it's the resonance that was put together into that one given song, right?
That's so cool.
That's what you feel.
And that's why some songs hits you in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It hits you in the heart.
Like your heart, yeah, your heart has no ears.
No, that's right.
It just feels it.
Yeah.
And what you feel is the wave, is the resonance, is the energy.
Right.
It's not the song.
No.
Right. So
that's quite profound, bro. I've always wondered how musicians can kind of really steal the crowd's heart. But it's rather like, I think you said that one time, it's like when you play your music, you're just in the music, not in the crowd, you know. And as the audience, I think the audience can see the difference, or can resonate the song as you being in the song, as opposed to you just singing the song and your mind is out in the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, the performers just do their thing. They just feel whatever it is that they feel, and they just deliver the things that they feel. And you know what the audience experienced, it was just the resonance that they are feeling. Of course, some people are just more preoccupied with the scene, like just to be in the scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the performers themselves was being the scene, being totally absorbed in that moment. You know, whatever notes that they are feeling, whatever music that they are feeling, they are submerged, like they're totally absorbed in it. They're not even with the crowd until the song ends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when they do their performance, they're just like totally zoned into it, you know. And
So-
when the song ends, then they come out and just say, hello, thank you, whatever. You know.
It's not easy to zone into the song. Right.
No, it's you don't force it in. You just kind of like get into it. I mean, through practicing, and the whole practicing session was more just setting the vessel,
Mm-hmm.
right, for that expression to come through. So it's not even a force thing. It's just like just do it kind of thing.
Right.
Of course, with the skill, the one thing that you have to do obviously beforehand is to train how to play instrument. That part you'd have to actually go through the process of learning and educate yourself on how to do it. But then once you get the hang of that, right,
Mm-hmm.
then you get to a point where you'd actually become the music, right? You don't play the music anymore. You just become the music. You become the instrument.
Become the instrument.
Yeah.
That's a quench.
That's quench. Yes.
Yeah, because then the notes. Now it's like when you become the instrument, it's that's where, you know, the riff. And I see guitars just riffing into sounds and the right combination of sounds and the combination of melody. It's just now they are the instrument. Now they just become the instrument.
Yeah, like there are things that you need to learn in order to become an instrument. Just like, a guitar must have string in order for it to be a guitar, and the string must be tuned to certain notes in order for it to play properly. And then the guitar player will need to learn how to play the chords and learn the notes. And then once you are educated that way, you basically condition yourself to become the vessel for the music to express itself through you.
There's so many musicians in a group. I promise you, brother, they would admire this. They would adore hearing these concepts, because you've touched on the inner self of a musician rather than being a musician from the programming, from the conditioning of the worldly point of view as a musician. And that I think you've opened up insights where the gifts are coming. I'm thinking particularly of cello player, and he found that they only started playing the cello because it spoke to him. He's actually an inspiring cello player and a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Personally found him to be inspiring. I think if the cello spoke to him, it's a language. It's a form of communication in which he can...
If I have to interpret though, I would say he spoke to the cello. The cello is a projection
Yeah.
of him,
Yeah,
right? Because the cello is outside of him.
right.
Everything that we see through our eyes, through our contact with whatever it is outside of us, is a projection of the thing that's within ourselves already. So,
And that's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the perspective of that the gift is inside of himself.
let's rephrase this one. For a musician, should we use a piano?
Mm-hmm.
So, an aspiring pianist, you might think that the piano is calling you to come. Oh, play me, right? you think,
There's some kind of admiration. There's some kind of in sync with what the piano does.
Yeah,
Right.
and
For you to
that's
feel that calling.
again. I mean, it's really, it feels like a calling, but that calling is from within you, and the piano is a projection of your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? It project, your person zero, let's say, wanted to express itself through this instrument, right? Now, it's obviously, you wouldn't think that it's you talking because you don't know person zero, right? You always be in person one,
Right.
but then when person zero speaks, person zero would say, I want to express, I want to talk in a piano kind of language. Like it has that kind of feeling. It has that it want to express. Right? Person zero doesn't exist as a person, but it exists as energy, and then it just has many different ways that it wants to express. And then when it feels like piano is the right thing to express its will to exist, right? Then it would feel like the piano is calling you, when in fact it's your own consciousness signaling to you that consciousness wants to express in a form of piano sound, right? And all of that comes from within yourself. It comes in form of the urge to play, the calling to play that instrument, and then it just feels like the right instrument for you, because the sound of piano just makes the right sounds that match with that consciousness, matches with that energy of person zero, right? Like you might think that it's the piano calling out to you, but the fact that you are hearing it's person zero telling you that person zero is projecting its existence in that instrument, in that piano, and then it already feels sense of connection with that instrument already,
Yes.
right? It identifies itself with that instrument. It's the instrument will become the voice of person zero.
Wow.
Now, you might think that it's the piano calling out to you, but no, it's the person zero telling you. Now, gotta remember that you, or the individual, is really more just of your true being is more of a knower or a seer. Like that is in our truest form. We know when something is communicating to us, whether it's from outside or from inside. But we know more of the language of the outside. That's why we can identify that it's something outside saying things to us. And then when we think we have such a intense inclination towards this piano, you might think that it's a piano calling out to you, but no, it's person zero say, I want to talk piano. Right? I want to sing like a piano. The person zero is all within yourself, right? And then when you start playing that piano, it would feel complete, of course, when you know how to play it. Right? But the sound of the piano will just feel so you can just totally identify with that sound of the piano. It just feels like, it just feels like it's you singing, right, in the sound of the piano. Right? And when you are able to experience that, it's in a way, by playing out the sound of the piano, it's like you're hearing person zero speaking. Because it's music, you can hear person zero singing, right?
Yeah.
And then and that is the things that put you in touch with your inner self, like the aspect of your inner self, right? And for every little chance or every little moment that you get to be in touch with the inner self, it's just that experience of joy that you get, like out of that, right?
There's a full range of experiences beyond joy, to be honest. I'm just sitting here listening and just encapsulating what that feel like, and I'm starting to feel more than just joy, brother.
Yeah, well,
to be honest, recognize, like realistically, to recognize that depth. And I'm just speaking from a beginner's point of view. It's like these are kind of things that are not. These aren't the kind of things that you hear often. It's very rare to hear these kinds of things. And it's great that you've been able to show an example as a musician to be able to acknowledge that inner self, trying to express, trying to connect, trying to communicate, and myself not having the musical archetype. It's within sports, within the competition, within performances is what I've identified my true archetype. So
yeah, there are many. I mean, people got a different. I mean, we all have, I guess, the same range of archetypes, but some are more dominant than the others.
Yes.
Right? It's let's say you may not play a musical instrument. You may not be inclined to play or to express thing musically, right? Right, but you have that appreciation for music.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So that is kind of speaks also, that your person zero identify with that language, with that realm, right? So there is a trait of that exists within you. It's just not in your skill set, right? But in terms of like from the heart standpoint, yeah, there is that appreciation for that kind of, you know, beauty,
Absolutely.
right?
And as you say, the realm, it's like zoning in,
Yeah,
being in that zone, and that's where I was saying, like, now it's more than just joy that I'm experiencing in that joy. Now it's like so much of the whole fireworks beyond the joy.
the fireworks.
Should we get into that?
Boom,
Boom.
bam, bam.
Pow.
Yes.
That's common, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's just what we're here for. You know, it's to peel out those onions and get out that disparity, so that we can attain self, a true self, in which now our living experiences is full of that joy, blissful, ecstatic, and exuberance.
Yeah, and that's what we're meant to find. You see, we're born into, you know, a form of existence that has the capability and have the capacity to discover, to realize their truest being, right? And to not put any effort, or to not be interested in, and to discover what that true self is, then that would seem to be a missed opportunity. And to me, this is why in what Socrates was saying, you know, life not examined is not worth living, or the unexamined life.
Life is not worth living.
Yes, the unexamined life is not worth living. To me, that's what he meant by it. Because otherwise, you have the tool, you have the capacity to examine what you are meant to find, you know, what you're meant to know. And it is ultimately, to some philosophy, that would consider this to be your destiny, that you already have everything that you're born with to reach this destiny. But to just ignore all that potential, then
It's like you just deny the right for the true self to be.
Just breathing this prana, brother. I'm just breathing in this prana.
And there you have it, YouTubers. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope that this has brought some goodness into your life. It means a lot to us to be able to share our insights and the lessons we've learned. And if this has been of any value, please click the like and subscribe. And more importantly, please leave a comment so we can engage and see how to continue and provide valuable contents as this one is. Thank you for now. Namaste.
Namaste.